After creating new weapons and armor for several of us and dyeing our equipment a more suitable color that we've each chosen, it's time to go to the war room. War Council is summoned. Let's read the reports. Everybody's ready. Ferelden, was there any here? Yes. An offer from the Crows. With your knowledge of the Venatori and the Crows' intelligence on Enzo, I tracked down a storehouse just outside the city. I hope you didn't want us to leave any of the Venatori alive. Sadly, Lord Enzo was not present, but he may count his life in days. To show we respect our current arrangement in interesting trinket from our raid on the Venatori, Gita. Masterwork Mabari grip. Right then. Harvest of History. As ordered, Isthmus Goodson now resides in Allied Lord's tower cell, attended by a polite but hooded servant. Claims against him seem dubious, but there is no denying that he was stocked to supply a significant force should one have come calling. Josephine. A note from the Inquisition Apothecary. Interesting times, Inquisitor. Though it was not the final action I was hoping for, I thank you for this interjection. I look forward to ensuring the health and effectiveness of the Inquisition for as long as needed. Elan Vimal. A little bit of gold from that. Not much. Rescue the spy. Report ready. A letter from Lord Bellion to Lady Dever. The Inquisition has some nerve. The woman we locked up in the cellars was spying for them, not the court. Try to recall what you spoke of in front of her, dear sister. It may be advisable to take the family holiday early this year. They figured it out in the end. Anyhow, about the name of our enemy. Where's the dwarves? Dwarven slaves in Venatori hands. Yes, we need to get on that immediately. I wanted Liliane to spy on them. Send a select group to observe. We don't want to alarm the Venatori. We know they are all too willing to sacrifice their captives.
Let's see what we have.
Red Jenny attends a party. Find a sponsor for the Du Paraquets. Investigate the strange chalk markings. Support from Navarra. Archives of Montfort. Destroying the House of Repose's contract. Alliance forging a way forward. That sounds important. Forging a way forward with the alliance. Lady Thibault is asking for closer ties and access to trading partners as she tries to circumvent the traditional blockages of the allegiances in the capital. Some houses have switched sides, others ceded holdings entirely to avoid the shame of officially losing all standing. More and more, they are concerned with station and alliance over whatever objections they stated about the Inquisition. We gained her trust with alliances. If we are willing to continue the relationship, it is only fitting that we strengthen those ties. I can arrange assurances of forces if allies are attacked, a standard escalation of interest. I think we'll go live with Cullen
to work
on this. Find a sponsor for the Du Paraquets. Now, I do believe that Josephine is best suited for this. Making the Du Paraquets nobility is the key to stopping the assassination plot on Josephine's life. The first step is gaining them a noble sponsor. Countess Dion is willing to help in exchange of news about her lover, Ellery, a mage who went missing after the Mage Templar War erupted. Ellery stood for the old Circle Order. I will see if any of the Loyalists gave him shelter. This is a quick one. Alright, I do believe that we are ready to travel. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go in Ferelden this time. We're gonna go south. Serve any master completed. Completed. Forces completed. Busy. Fellow my resources. Not that we really need those. Reparations for Redcliffe completed. Let's locate Heretic's sister. That's interesting. The refugees rescued from Haven told some fascinating stories, most notably one in which a wandering Chantry sister informed them that Gariffius was the true herald of Andraste, that he had been chosen to redeem the sins of man. The refugees remained faithful, but reported that this woman, either a mad woman or a Venatori agent, convinced others. It may be worth our time to find this supposed Chantry sister, Ambassador Montelier. I would say so. Next time, that's going to be one of the priorities. Locate the Heretic sister. Okay, investigate the Frostback. Okay, we scouted the region and set up camp. Professor Kenric has the scouts gathering anything they can find. So far, we've uncovered a lot of very old buckles. Okay, let's go there. Let's go meet Scout Harding. Cassandra, I do actually want to bring you. You have the new armor. Blackwall does not. And neither does the Iron Bowl. We'll have to get on that next time. Not that I don't want to have her along with me anyways. We haven't had Dorian with us in a while. Let us bring Cole, too. Yeah, sounds good. Now, this is part research, is it not? In Frostbacks, I expect this to be a wintry area, but I'm not exactly sure. It is quite south, probably about the furthest south we've ever been. I think it's even further south than the Fallow Mire. That being the case, also depends what time of year it is that we go there. So we shall see what we're up against. Scout Harding will, of course, meet us there. I also have to meet with this scholar, this professor.
Good to see you again, Inquisitor. Allow me to introduce Professor Bram Kenric. He's the reason we're out here.
A pleasure to meet you, Your Worship.
Professor Kenric teaches at the University of Orlais.
I came on an exchange program from Starkhaven. While in Val Royeaux, I've found something incredible. After 800 years, we may be able to determine the final resting place of the last Inquisitor.
Really? I can definitely tell you have a different accent. I've never really met anybody from Starkhaven before, even though that's not that far out of the way from where my clan lives.
That would be a fascinating discovery.
Inquisitor Emeriden stepped down shortly before the Nevarran Accord brought the Seekers of Truth into the Chantry. He hunted demons, dragons, and dangerous apostates in a time before Templars even existed.
I'm all for history if it means tracking down the equipment of a famous demon hunter.
If the last Inquisitor has been missing for 800 years, it's only fitting that today's Inquisition help find him.
Your scouts have gathered artifacts from the area. They may help us discover what Inquisitor Emeriden was doing.
I have news as well. We've encountered hostile Avar to the north. They call themselves the Jaws of Hakon. There's also an Avar hold to the east. Unlike the Jaws of Hakon, they've been friendly so far.
The Jaws of Hakon?
They're hostile Avar who attack any Inquisition agents or researchers who get close. We've sent soldiers for defense, but the Hakonites are cunning, merciless, and know the basin better than we do. I'm afraid our men will not be able to hold out long.
No, we'll have to deal with them.
I thought we could catch up.
Of course.
They say you grew up in a village. Where did you learn to fight, draw a bow, all that?
Here and there. You pick things up as a little dwarf girl in a village filled with piggish Ferelden boys. I'm no artist with a blade. I just know what hurts, and what takes him down quick. Bruised a shin or two in my day, and a few, you know, other things. And archery? Oh, there was a traveling hunter who set me up with my first bow and taught me the basics. After that, I practiced on my own. On squirrels, mostly. Oh, and Heinrich from next door, but only with padded arrows.
I hear you have family in Ferelden.
Yes, my mother and father. I insisted they moved to Denerim once I signed up with the Inquisition. Ambassador Montilier tells me I should invite them to Skyhold. She thinks they'd be proud of me.
I know they would
But
be.
after Haven, I just can't, you know? It's not that I don't trust you or our soldiers. It's just, I just want them to be safe. And if that means they don't get to see things firsthand, that's okay. My mother likes writing letters anyway.
Have you spoken to Kenric much?
A bit. He's quite nice, isn't he? And clever. Really loves his books. I said hello one day while he had his nose buried in a giant tome. His shriek was a winner. I can't stop doing it now. It's too funny.
What do you think about the Avar?
When I was a little girl, a lady in our village used to tell me Avar tales. Being able to see their lives up close, it's nothing like I thought. They're very tall, aren't they? I was considering a proposal for Commander Cullen. Avar allies with dwarven archers astride their shoulders. They'd be unstoppable.
Interesting. Oops. Sorry.
See you soon, Inquisitor.
I didn't mean to do that.
Have you seen the plans for the new camps? Tree houses. It all sounds awful and precarious.
Don't you like the idea of tree houses?
It's a good idea, in theory. Up where the wild animals can't get us. But having solid ground so far, far below me with nothing but air in between us is just...
Who would have thought? Scout Harding afraid of heights.
Me? No. No. I'm not afraid. Who's afraid? No one's afraid. I love being up high. Lovely views, fresh air, birds flying at my head. Yeah. I'm a little uncomfortable with heights. Don't tell anyone.
I thought we could catch up.
What's on your mind?
How do you like the Frostback Basin?
It's lovely, isn't it? At least until you step in a pile of bogfisher poo. The stuff's vile. It makes great fuel for starting fires, though, if you can tolerate the smell. Ugh. I might suggest that to the commander. It could be great for sieges.
That is a brilliant idea. I'll endorse it.
Wonderful. I'll write it up as soon as I get back to Skyhold.
What are your thoughts about our progress against Corypheus?
We're getting close. It feels like we're on the right track, doesn't it? Everyone working together against our common goal. It feels good.
Good to hear.
We'll continue this another time.
Safe travels.
I don't know, she's actually not... She has a charm of her own. If it wasn't for Cassandra, I might be interested in Scout Harding. Wow. This is different. Giant mushrooms. Still not as plain as my homeland. The Emerald Graves was the most similar place. So it seems that a few of us have gained a season. Dorian. Dorian. All offense. Lingering Mark. While he is Spirit Mark, you mark a target with an attacking target, inflicting ongoing damage. If the target dies while marked, the spirit mimics the victim's body briefly to fight in your behalf. Interesting. Lingering Mark. Your target kills... Targets you kill with Spirit Mark now fight for you longer and harder. Really interesting. And Cole. Still working on his daggers, I see. Death Blow. You lash out hard with swift and deadly skill, and then again against a wounded foe. And that would be it for that. The Basin beckons. Now that the Inquisition has established a presence in Frostback Basin, Professor Kenric has a lead on Inquisitor Emeridon. Scout Harding can outline potential risks in the region. Well, we're coming from the south. These are earmarked for setting up camps. Lead the charge. The Jaws of Hakken are attacking Inquisition soldiers. Avar allies. Making contact with the Avar hold to the east could provide the Inquisition useful allies. Perhaps we should go there first and then go after the Jaws of Hakken. There's a Phaedra so close to us. Let's go see about this to the south.
Kenric was looking for this.
The size of these mushrooms. I've never seen such large mushrooms. They're everywhere, too. I wonder if they're edible. Okay. Well, Kenric is in here. What does this say? A baffled note. A note fixed to a book entitled Sir Lothair Vernier de Rey's Victory and Dominion. Lady Harding, I could use the opinion of an expert. Though impressive, the victory outlined on the marked page could not have been achieved as stated. Bram Kenric. Sure it could, if you had enough apples, Harding. Interesting. Something else here. There's a lot of our soldiers here. It must be a very, the Avars must have been giving us a lot more trouble than I originally thought. Okay, there's a long note to Harding. My darling Lace, I hope this letter finds you healthy and happy. Last week I managed to barter for maps of Ferelden and Orlais from Hugin, the old soldier who rents the place on Mistress Johann's farm. You remember him, don't you? Quiet man, always smoking a pipe in his chair on the porch. He wasn't using the maps anymore, so I gave him some of my jam and patched his coat in exchange for them. Now whenever you tell me of your travels, I'll be able to track where you've been. I'm astounded, my darling, when I look at the weave of dotted trails I've already marked out in my maps. Oh, the places your feet have touched. How far you've gone, my little Lace. I am so proud of you. When I was your age, I'd only ever gone as far as Lothering. My mother never left Redcliffe. She lived and died there, and now here you are, flying so far with so much purpose. My mind can barely comprehend it, but my heart swells. I shan't take up too much of your time. I know how busy you are. I am looking at the frostbacks on the map as I write this, because I know you will likely be at your skyhold. Please make sure to dress warmly. I have included the recipe for your favorite turnip goat stew, a taste of home to stave off the cold mountain airs. Kisses and hugs from me and your father, mother. That was adorable. Although a little private, maybe I shouldn't have read that. This is sack. Some gold and some ring velvet, and another, probably more correspondence. A neatly penned note. Professor Bram Kenric. The requested supplies have been sent to your current location from the university, including additional ink books on Ameridan and the 3 Divine Age buckles for purposes of comparison. And yes, upon your return you may say, I told you so, in regards to me saying your collection was useless. Everything should arrive shortly after you, of course. Roads still aren't what they were. Also, I fed that fish, but I'm not talking to it for you. Professor Cheval Laurent, University of Orlais. Private, but not so personal.
You've heard about Jace.
What does this say? Property of Colette. Pages of neatly written, painstakingly detailed notes fill a well-worn journal. The notes break midway through for a list. Expedition to Frostback Basin. Preparations. Reread Finding Ameridan. Complete. Review notes on appropriate excavation methods. Complete. Practice categorization of minute material artifacts. Complete. Read book on Frostback Basin. Complete. Practice camping. Complete. Note, bring a pillow. Reread an anatomy of various terrible beasts. Complete. Learn to fence. Cannot find willing instructor. Ask brothers for fencing defense ideas. Bad idea. Defense lessons. Bad idea. Read book on survival and defense. Complete. Bring towels. Packed. A few idle swirls follow, along with a tiny sketch of an elf defending a stack of papers from various terrible beasts. The caption reads, Fieldwork. Was that from Kenric? That's taking everything very, very seriously. Hello, Professor.
Scout Harding has an impressive team. Her people brought back a number of artifacts.
If you need something tracked, Scout Harding is your woman.
If only it were that easy. After 800 years, we can't just look for tracks. Barring enchantment, cloth and leather will have long since rotted away. Only metal and stone remain recognizable. Complicating this are recent pieces the Avar left behind, and of course ancient pieces dating back to Tevinter. Fortunately, thanks to some period-specific buckling, I've been able to track our last Inquisitor.
What do you have, Professor?
Everything so far points to the shore not far to the south. There was some sort of battle near the shoreline. They were in a hurry. The scouts reported an island near an Avar fishing camp, but the Avar won't say much about it.
What makes you think the last Inquisitor was fighting?
There's a clasp here common to armor links. It's clearly torn. That only happens from a heavy shearing blow, like large claws or an axe. Then there's the dagger. Silverite. with a stylized dragon pommel and an inscription reading Cordilis. That dagger had to be a gift from Cordilis Dracon, first Emperor of Orlais. No one would just lose such a thing.
What can you tell me about the Avar fishing camp?
Not much. It's the friendly Avar, not these jaws of Hakon barbarians. According to the scouts, they wouldn't say much about the area. Likely a local superstition.
I'll find a way to that island and see if there's anything useful there.
Excellent. I'll continue to study what's been found. With luck, we'll both find some answers. Also, one of my research assistants, Colette, was investigating an old structure to the north. I'm not certain it's related to our investigation, but it couldn't hurt to check with her.
Well, we'll do that too. So what does this book say? Inquisitor Emeriden. What is known about Inquisitor Emeriden would barely fill a page. He was a friend of the Emperor Dracon. He was Inquisitor when the Seekers of Truth folded themselves into the Chantry as part of the Navarian Accord, their order serving as precursor to the Order of Templars and the Circle of Magi. Shortly after the accord was signed, between 122 and 124 Divine, Emeriden left his position and departed, never to be seen again. These facts alone are undisputed. Everything else is uncorroborated hearsay, broad speculation, or salacious rumor-mongering. Emeriden did not willingly cede power. Dracon forced the Seekers of Truth to disband upon pain of death, then removed the Inquisitor rather than suffer rebellion in the new Chantry's ranks. Emeriden was forced to retire due to the still young Chantry's restrictions requiring celibacy, as he was involved in a relationship with the mysterious Lady Mage that the Chantry erased from history. Emeriden was a rowdy noble who cared more for raucous entertainment than the Seekers. He held the position only because Dracon wanted a loyal friend commanding the order, and when the Seekers became part of the Chantry, Emeriden was free to retire to a life of hunting dragons and wenching. Any of these stories may be true, and without more evidence we have little hope of ever reaching a clear determination. Nevertheless, I would offer a few notes that are often overlooked as scholars delve too deeply into their own historical specialities as to lose key context. Firstly, Emperor Dracon, Emperor Dracon, rightly acknowledged as the man who molded the Chantry into the organization it is today. He was a pious man, committed to spreading the chant of light and creating a world where magic and men were governed by Andrastian principles. All sources agree that Emeriden was a close friend of Dracon, and while it is certainly possible that Emeriden was more pragmatic than pious, it is highly unlikely that Dracon would have befriended a figure who was actively opposed to the Chantry, much less tolerated such a man holding a position of power in the growing Orlesian Empire. Secondly, Inquisitor Emeriden was universally acclaimed as a powerful combatant, regardless of his supposed faith or lack thereof. Rumor-mongers suggesting Emeriden was exiled ask us to believe that Emperor Dracon could see no use for a powerful warrior with years of commanding experience, given that the Second Blight had been a fact of Orlesian life for more than 15 years at the time of Emeriden's disappearance, with Darkspawn pouring in from the Anderfells into northern Orlais in growing numbers. It is frankly absurd to suggest Dracon would casually dispose of such a military asset. Without further evidence, we may never know more about Emeriden's departure. Nevertheless, I hope that we may eschew the currently popular cynicism, at least when obvious evidence against it is presented, to see that his disappearance must have had some other cause. From Finding Emeriden by Professor Bram Kenric, Starkhaven University Press. What do you have in the sack here? Professor Brontohide. Well, we can use all of it. There's something here, probably more notes. Questions of accuracy that moved against them were halted by light from her most assured hands. It was then that she took her own counsel in ways best not set forth here and led the party away. Did Emeriden's eyes seek hers among those assembled as he relayed the events which led them here? Which led them there? If she stood among us, I did not know her, yet his hand moved slightly at his side, as my own does when my wife is near and I seek wordless comfort in the touch of her fingers. We had all heard the whispers. Did he say her name in the telling? Would he have dared? Times were different, but have they changed so much, except from the writings of Lord Biscone, first put to the page in 148 Divine. That was nearly 800 years ago. A letter follows. Kenric. This is a precise copy. The preceding pages were lost or removed ages ago. Biscone makes no further references to this woman, although Emeriden comes up several times later on. Biscone's writings, as they pertain to Inquisitor Emeriden, are not entirely unknown, although you are unlikely to find them among Chantry records. Their validity is largely dismissed. Some have questioned whether the so-called Light and Council reference magic or holy insight And of course, Biscon wrote down his impressions many years after the fact. The author's own wife brought accuracy into question when she admitted her husband was recalling his youth in the Orlesian capital through nostalgia and age-distorted memory. I believe her admission is part of official Chantry record. Best of luck, M. Well, I'm not 100% convinced that this is going to extremely help the Inquisition and bring down Corypheus, but I think the possibility exists that answers may be found. Something could come out of this if we're successful in finding Inquisitor Emeraldin, that could help us in our present day. This is a lot of resources the Inquisition has put forward here. If there's this many people here, there must be at least a couple hundred of us out. And the Avar are giving us a lot of trouble. Well, for one, I think I'll close the Fade Rift and then head east. Probably start up a camp here. And there's this island here Kenric asked me to visit. And then we'll visit with the Avars, the friendly ones, and see if they can help. But until then, that'll have to wait. Till next time.